Welcome to launch day of the world-changing filmmaker event. I'm so excited to have you with us. I am Grant. I am a senior creative director at Muse Storytelling, and will be one of the three of us who are excited to share our experience and what it is that we're launching today with you. But to begin, as everybody takes their virtual seats and they, everybody connects at a different time, and 4 o'clock is 1 o'clock is 4 o'clock is 6 o'clock somewhere else. As we take together our seats, I want to know, where are you dialing in from? Share with us where you're from, and then also share with us the stories that you like to share most. What kind of stories excite you? What are the ones that are the ones that you want to be creating more and more and more of? And I'd like to invite my team members, Patrick and Caitlin, who are here today to share what it is that we're launching. I know that there is equally.
Hello, everybody. We are excited to be with you here today.
Oh, this has been a long time in the making, and a tremendous amount of energy and effort and focus has gone into this.
So what we are going to cover today, we're going to go over a couple of things. One, many of you we've done events with before, whether in person or online. So some of you know us, but some of you don't. So we're going to take a minute and just share a little bit about who we are and who you're going to be spending some time with today. We're going to talk about the psychology of success. Really, what does it take to create the kinds of films and work and lifestyle and business that you want for yourself? We want to break down those mechanics before we get into world-changing filmmakers, so that you can kind of understand the intention and the design behind what we've created. We're going to premiere the launch film, which I am so excited about. It's just so yeah.
His hand.
I just like, how about can we just roll that now?
No, you got to slow down. No, and then we're going to take you actually through some of the content so you can see what it is that we're going to be working on during this experience over the course of 90 days. And then we are going to give you a bonus because we did make some promises. We so appreciate you being committed and showing up. And so we have a couple of special things that we're going to be giving you as a part of attending today. And we're going to answer all your questions. There may be a bunch, there may be a few, but we'll make sure that everybody has all their questions answered.
For some of you, the first question that you may have is, who are we as storytellers, right? And do we, what can we bring to you in offering and supporting the work that you want to be connected with, in helping you take your career to that next level? So, I know that the foundation of all of this rests on Patrick and your love of psychology and story and the intermix.
Yeah, so my background is in psychology. And so I was a psych student and was really just fascinated by how different people can see the same thing in completely different ways. Like, it's just always perception, right? That kind of thing just blew my mind. I got into weddings. Wedding got noticed by Canon, went viral, lands me a gig with the NFL. CBS sees the work that I'm doing with the NFL. And all of a sudden, I get this 200-day contract, get this job with CBS. It goes on to win a bunch of Emmys, and everything changes. And as a psychology major, I start really learning more about story. So I'm not just going back and reading books. I'm going back to firsthand research, academic studies, papers. I want to get this shit inside out, how it really works. And then all of a sudden, we start getting invited to teach about storytelling in these unbelievable places. Flown to Geneva to speak to the United Nations. These unbelievable things. We became the brand partner for 4 seasons, their storytelling partner for several years, doing global and, property films in 30, 40 countries or so. All of that then leads to us getting the opportunity to now do original films and really, express our creative vision without having all of those client constraints and budget constraints and everything else. And I'm so excited to be here with you today because I deeply believe in the power of story to make a difference. All that cliche bullshit about great stories can change the world. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it again and again because I believe it. It's true. And we can only tell so many of them. But I believe together we can come together and we can really be a positive force. And so I'm excited to share with you what we've created for us to come together to create some really amazing stories together. And that's who I am. What about you, Miss Miranda?
It's funny. Inflection points, there's something that rarely you're in the moment and you're like, this is something that's going to change everything for me. And for me, we're in Miami right now, walking through the Miami airport. It always is very much a big moment for me because I had one of the biggest inflection points in my career here in Miami 4 years ago, I was here and, I was sort of at what I thought was the pinnacle. I had the job that I had always wanted. I had done all the things. I had gotten the promotions. I was working with Michelin star chefs. I was working with all of these people. I was, doing Fashion Week and I'm sitting there and I'm having this conversation with this incredible woman who was at that point on a journey to become the first Black woman to travel to every country in the world and be a true global citizen. And I was like, there's something that's just missing. Like I have all the things, I've gotten all these achievements, but like the substance, I need something that fills my soul. And that just also so happened to be the weekend that I met these two and, gave Patrick a nice nickname, told our client at the time, who's now a dear friend, that he was scrappy as shit.
Which I wear as a badge of honor. I will tell you, I like being scrappy as shit. That's for sure.
And 3 weeks later, I was freelancing with Muse. And now, 4 years later, fast forward, we're doing these projects last December where there was, high six-figure budgets. And I'm sitting in the room with Patrick and we're interviewing this woman who's the founder of $1 billion company, but now she's looking at how she can get more women into the C-suite. And I mean, like, I'm just sitting there on the edge of my seat, like, this is what I want to do. This is everything. How do I get here? And, as I never thought I was going to be a filmmaker. I never thought I was going to be able to share the stories of these truly remarkable people. And the reason why this matters is because those kinds of budgets, the kind of substantive work that fills your soul, I'm a product of that because I said yes, and you can be too.
I began my filmmaking journey from maybe
Down.
humble beginnings, you might say, from what we affectionately call Cowtown, Ohio. And I can attest that my filmmaking career comes from the fuel of sweat. And in truth, it is a willingness to have taken on the pursuit of wanting to have a film career in the first place, albeit late in life. So, I had parked all of my dreams on the back burner for years, but then had become the proud father of two young boys. And each night I'm putting them to bed at night. And I realized that I wasn't modeling the lifestyle that I wanted for either of them. And so I needed to make a change. So I drew a line in the sand and said I'd become a filmmaker, but maybe like you, there's that moment where there's a lot of desire, but there's not a lot of direction. You really thirsty for a meal that isn't there. So you go searching in the desert, kind of, wandering, looking for these little oases of education. And so, the thing that I get excited about is, maybe being able to create a resource, being able to create that kind of an opportunity for you, for all of us to find structure around wanting to do this. And the thing that I'm going to encourage you to do is consider where you are in your career and whether this is the time for an inflection point for you, is to acknowledge that it's time to take yourself on. And I am testament to what that can do for you when you're willing to do that. If you are willing to hold yourself accountable to the dreams that are alive in your soul, then we can really help you, create and be connected to what it is that you're so wanting to create.
So today we are going to share with you this world-changing filmmaker experience that we've very meticulously and intentionally crafted. But I want to chat a little bit about what we're against, what we want to help you move away from, so that we really kind of get where this is all, hopefully, leading you towards. Because I really think that what we've built is special and is the pinnacle of anything that, I or we have, created today. But what are we against? So with each one of these, I would love it if if you've ever felt this way, hit up that chat box and raise your hand, or yes, let us know if you've ever felt this way about any of these things, because these are what we're trying to move away from. Number one, you've heard us say it before, got to say it again, being treated like a tripod, right? None of us got into this to be told where to stand, what to shoot, how it should all go to be together, to, be that just button pusher that really doesn't have a voice. One of the first gigs I ever did before I was even a filmmaker, I worked with this dude who shot for news. And I remember him telling me, and it blows my mind, his camera He had to take out a second mortgage on his mother's house to pay off this big broadcast camera. And I went to PA for him at this event. And I'm like, well, why don't we go here? Why don't we go there? And he's just like, well, no, they just want me to stand here. Like, that's all we gotta do. We just gotta shoot that. It's like, but there's so much more, right? And like, that is what we want to help you move towards. Having a voice, having a vision, and not being somebody who just needs to press buttons and show up and set things up and doesn't actually have a perspective. So if you've ever felt like a tripod, please, in the comments, let us know. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's had a day as a tripod.
See, my thing is being penny pinched. A couple of years ago, we were working with a beauty client and, we pitched the project, they signed off, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, but, we had said we're going to film in 3 cities, but what if we film in 5? I think you can make that budget work. And what if we add a BTS photographer? Because, we really do need that content. And well, now that we have the BTS, let's also add some additional deliverables. And like, if you really slice and dice that budget, you can make it work. And I'll tell you, from the other side of it, when you do the work, you add a 0 to it, it doesn't look like that. And that's what we want for you. We want you to get away from the pinching and the let's go line by line. And why don't you send me in a reconciled budget so I can see how much you spent on my project?
Maybe you can get $1,000 off, or maybe we can cut this, or maybe you can also add this, or and what's wild, and the thing that I never would have guessed, going back to like my wedding days and like early on as a filmmaker, I never would have guessed that it is easier to sell a film for $250,000 than it is for $10,000.
And it's easier to sell a film for $500,000 than $100,000.
But like the we're getting ahead of ourselves. But when you have a clear vision and you are confident in how you express it, it's amazing how all that negotiation goes away about the exact deliverables and more so around the price point and everything else. So if you've ever struggled with being penny pinched, hit up that comment box, let us know, and be real. Be real. Come on, show up, take action, get involved. We would like to know, because I'm sure many of you have. Now, number 3, this one still, I have nightmares about. It's that getting stuck in endless revisions. And it especially hurts. It especially hurts when you are in love with the piece at the beginning. You see this like amazing thing in your head and you think you did all the things to bring it to life. And then you get, feedback from the client and the receptionist and the receptionist's cat, and you put it all together and it's just like, it looks nothing like what you thought. And actually, I did a piece with Apple many years ago, and there were rumors. They would whisper it under their breath. I never saw the project file, but there were rumors that one of them hit triple-digit revisions, like V101. Like, what? Like, it's wild.
My favorite is the pages when it's like, 5-page document, you just keep scrolling and there's all this feedback and it's contrary to one another. And you're like, but this doesn't make sense. No one read this. 4 different people are contributing.
That is not how we want to be living our lives as filmmakers, as storytellers, as creatives. And so we want to help you move away from that and into being able to express a creative vision and bring that to life and move on.
And the fourth and final thing that we do not want, and I think that for me, this is the one that cuts most deeply, is the idea that we don't want to do work that we're not proud of. How many times have you created and hit publish or delivered a final product that it just doesn't sit with the same level of satisfaction and purpose that you entered the project with? Each new project always seems so hopeful. It always feels like it's so full of possibility and potential. And through certain behaviors, either through revisions or being told that you're going to only be a tripod, or finding yourself short on resources and all of these other pain points, all of these challenges, in the end, you create something that doesn't satisfy you. Well, we've been there. We've been there on some of these big, large dream projects. Things that were, potentially inflection points for us. And in the end, you find yourself kind of just defeated, demoralized, deflated, because that what's on the hard drive, what you had set out and intended to create exists, but as a result of not wanting to take that level of risk, not wanting to embrace conflict, not wanting to do some of those things, in the end, you find yourself with something that is less than what it could have been. Well, what we want for you is to really share with you some ideas and learnings that we have that will really set about making sure that you are finding you projects to be more purposeful, more satisfactory, more exciting to share with the world, and stuff that you can beat your chest about and be very proud to share.
Okay, my friends, I want you to go, just give us a count. Okay, so there's 4 things that we're against.
4 of 4.
How many have you experienced? For me, honestly, I'm 4 of 4. I have experienced not being proud of something I've shipped. I've experienced getting stuck in endless revisions. I have experienced way too much penny pinching, and I've experienced being treated like a tripod. So my experience is 4 for 4. I would like to hear from you. What, I'm seeing some people saying 4 of 4. I know some of you earlier were like, luckily I've never had to be a tripod. Amazing. That is awesome. But how many of those have you experienced? Because this is what we want to move away from. Now, what do we want to move towards, right? What are we actually for? And we've done workshops in dozens of countries for tens of thousands of filmmakers across the world. And it's amazing how simple and common, it comes back to when you ask people, like, what do you really want? The thing that people want that our community, and certainly that we really connect with, is they want to care about the work that they do. They want it to matter. You want to make something that matters. You want to give a shit that you're doing it. And it would be great if you're profitable at the same time.
And the thing about the profitability part of it, because I'm going to come in because I like the money and the finance and the account management and all those things, is that we're not just talking about profitability because you can go on nice vacations, which we love a nice vacation, don't get us wrong, but it's about how can you.
Why did you put it me for the nice vacation?
Okay, mister.
Just because I love Maldives?
You are the biggest divas I know, but we're not going to dive into that now. But in terms of profitability, it means that you can invest in your business. It means that you can invest in the work that you want to do. It means that you can say hell no to that one project. And why don't I spend a couple of weeks working on my passion project? That's the kind of profitability that we want for you.
For me, it's about sustainability. The whole idea is that if we are doing work that we care about, then we will go to the mattresses and we will sacrifice. We will spend more time, energy, effort, focus, and feel connected to that work. And the same is true of profitability. So if we're either emotionally bankrupt because the work that we're doing isn't satisfying, we will just be burnout. And if we are financially bankrupt because there's no money to support it, then that's also not sustainable. And so we really want to create careers that we can be proud of and that will have decades of runway in the future. And those 2 things are essential to really make that happen.
Okay, so now you get into what we're looking to create here with World Changing Filmmaker, right? We want to help you move away from being a tripod and penny pinching and overwhelming with revisions and all of that kind of stuff. We want to help you move towards caring about the work, doing stuff that matters, and being profitable at the same time. So before we actually share this launch film that I'm so excited about, I want to just take a minute and talk about the psychology of success, because I want to really make sure that we're breaking down the very intentional design of the experience, right? Like how we put this together, because I really think that there's a lot to how that then leads to results. Right. And I'm not looking for you to just trust us and go, oh, well, they have this new thing. It should be exciting. I want you to actually get why, if you do this and you show up and you take action, this can really be an inflection point. So let's step outside of the filmmaking world and really look at the psychology of success. And this is something that Tony Robbins teaches, one of the world's greatest performance coaches out there. And he talks about this cycle of beliefs to potential to actions to results. And that so much of it starts with the story that you tell yourself, what you believe you are capable of. Because if you don't really believe you're capable of much, well, then, you often don't act on much of your potential, right? You limit your potential. You don't try as hard. If I'm doing a race and I don't believe I'm going to win, well, I'm not going to give 100%. I might give 60, 70%. And then I'm going to take less actions as a result because I don't really have the belief and I'm not really giving that much of my potential. And then I finish 5th, 6th, or last, and the results are poor, which then feeds back into the belief that I was never going to win, right? So you get this cycle of belief, potential, actions, and results. Now, I want to give you a story of how this goes in reverse, and really how powerful this can be when you unlock this for yourself. And it's from the Derby last night, I think, or 2 days ago. So we're at this big, $1,600 a ticket private gala, this black tie event. And, it's got all these A-list celebrities coming. They're showing up on the red carpet, and Romero Brito, the guy we're making the documentary on, is there. And so we're trying to tie together all these celebrities with Romero to show that, they're friends and they're hanging out and everything else, and trying to make a party that is super packed and not good lighting and everything else, as entertaining as we can inside for just like a moment in the film, right? So we get in there and it's hot and it's crowded and there's no cameras allowed. And so trying to figure our way around all of that, right? And as we're sitting down to talk in the other room, Grant looks at me and he's like, I think Boys to Men just got on the stage. Now, like, they had come on the red carpet, so we knew they were there. And okay, it makes sense. Maybe they got on the stage. So right away, I'm up. I'm like, I got to get on the stage, right? And so I come around the corner, and here's the problem: the stage is 200 feet away. They're doing a surprise performance. They're up for like 3 minutes, and it is jam packed. You physically can't move. So I'm just trying to like hold the camera. Excuse me. And then I run into Chris Pine and his bodyguards, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to go that way. Like, I'm going to have to stop. And so all of a sudden, I start like, how can I go around? And so bringing it back to what we're talking about, it started with an unwavering belief that within the 3 minutes that they were on stage, despite not allowed having cameras in the event, I would get on stage with Boys to Men and I would get the footage that would bring in that performance with Romero, right? Like, it starts with that belief. Then I start acting out and living into my potential. So it's not going to work to go straight there. There's a whole path around the other side. And I get close to the stage, and she hasn't heard this, and I'm going to get in big trouble. I have to jump this small fence in front of two guests who, again, $1,600 a ticket. And I apologize to them first. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to. And so I jump over right on the stage beside them, and I just go immediately into a crawl, right? So like, if somebody heard, like, they don't really know what happens. The stage manager comes over. He's like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, documentary here with the event. I will not be a problem. Don't you worry. And he looks at me. He's like, you better not get in the way, buddy. You better not get in the way. So he calms down. I give it 15 seconds, and I'm like, okay, bro, I need to get behind them. I need to, like, I'm going behind them because I'm like, that's the shot. I will take 10 seconds, right? And he looks at him. He's like, you mess them up, like, you're dead. You're dead. I'm like, I'm good. And so I think nobody really knows what's going on because, like, it's a camera behind the band, right? Snuck up behind them, get this beautiful wide shot. It's end of the road, the whole crowd is singing along, right? You've got the star-studded event. They're holding up the mic, the whole crowd singing along. We get the shot. I get off stage, and we come back later. We're debriefing, and Romero and the CEO Lucas are like, you got on the stage. How the hell did you get on the stage? Now, I want to bring it back to what we're talking about, though, right? It starts with the unwavering belief that, like, I knew I was going to do it. And so all of a sudden, the potential is larger. And the actions I took, including jumping over a fence and barrel rolling on a stage, the actions become bigger. But then the results I create are also larger, which then feeds back in to the belief, right? So next time I find myself in any scenario like that, I believe that I can do it, which then again, can we see how that cycle works? How we can change?
It's not the first time you've been on a stage because you knew that you could get on that stage. We've broken through security. We've done that a couple of times. So I guess that does feed into it as long as you don't get arrested. Don't get arrested.
But this is what we're trying to create, right? We're trying to help you with this cycle of, first and foremost, changing the story that you're telling yourself. Because the bigger that story is, the more belief you have in yourself, the more of your potential you will actually actualize, the bigger the actions will take. Will start to become massive actions. And then you create amazing results. And guess what? You create amazing results and the belief changes. So it feeds itself. That is the design of world-changing filmmaker. So
in order to do this effectively, we really need to be hitting all 4 of these items in the cycle of success, right? The psychology of success is born of all 4. You can't isolate one and only play in that world. You have to be able to hit all 4 of them. And what we've done is created an experience that is designed to do exclusively and specifically that.
So what won't work? What's not going to get you there? Well, number 1, a darn fancy online course. like we make the best darn education out there, But guess what? If you look at beliefs and potential and action and results, what's that really going to get you? Potential. It's going to increase your potential. But is it really going to change your belief in who you are and what you're capable of? Maybe a little bit. But it's not going to really affect the actions. And it really focuses on potential.
And the other thing that we couldn't create and that wasn't going to work is that we couldn't just have you go out there and create and buy all the most incredible gear, right? This idea of gear gawking is not going to be what is an inflection point. It's going to separate the work that it is that you're doing. All you're doing is isolating and leaving all of the responsibility outside of self when you say that it's all about the gear. In truth, if you want to be a filmmaker and a storyteller, that's an internal thing. That's something that you can't externalize. And so you're going to need to have a willingness to assign yourself to the psychology success circle in order to do that. You can't just get caught in the gear.
You know what else you can't do? You can't just say, if I had better clients, it's going to be easier. I'm going to be able to do the better work. The belief that your clients are going to determine what your results are doesn't work. You have to go in and change that belief. You have to actualize the potential. You have to act in order to get those results. Better clients, you can have the best clients in the world. And you know what? If you aren't actually going through and putting in the work, it's not going to be successful.
Okay, so what exactly is this world-changing filmmaker experience thing? All of that was to set up the thought that went into this, to help you move away from being a tripod, from endless revisions, from penny pinching, all of that, to move towards making films that you care about, that matter, that you can be profitable, and that we need to understand that to really do that, to really be an inflection point, we need to go at the beliefs. What you see in yourself, we need to increase your potential. We need to be encouraging you and supporting you and taking massive actions. And if you create results that are better than anything you've ever done, we're just going to keep that cycle going. So with that, my friends, I would love to debut the launch film. I'm so excited. I think this is really special. Let's go ahead, Bo. Can we roll the launch film for everybody?
You, my friend, are more than a tripod.
Let's do this. I bet you didn't get into filmmaking to be told where to stand, what to shoot, and how it should all come together. Fighting for small budgets, feeling overwhelmed, living in endless revisions, and ending up with films that you're not all that proud about.
I mean, that's not why you got into this, right? I bet if you're anything like me, you wanted to have a voice. You wanted to make the things that you care about, but also that when people watch your films, that they're moved. They want to watch them again and again, and that your work actually makes a difference.
You know, when you ask me if you did everything right, you did everything right.
And I believe that we can help. Before we share this new experience we're offering, let's start with the proof. Because let's be real, the internet, it's full of snake oil scams, hyperbolic claims.
And to demonstrate the power of this new experience, we invited 16 filmmakers from all over the world to join us here in the studio in Portland. Now, here are some of the challenges they were facing when they first came in.
I have this crippling fear that I'm not good enough.
I want to be able to feel that I have purpose.
How can I overcome my imposter syndrome?
Now, if that resonates with you, wait to see how this experience becomes an inflection point for each one of them.
Introducing the world-changing filmmaker experience.
We say experience because this is far more than an online course.
This is your chance to go out there, make a passion project, and get the mentorship of our Emmy Award-winning team.
So see how you're breaking that light up and making it nice and natural? Yep. We want to help you make the best film that you've ever made. Why? Because if you do, if you show up, take action, and truly take yourself on, this experience, it can be an inflection point in your career.
With filmmaking, I'm capable enough to coast, and I have not pushed myself. And I'm realizing I've purposefully isolated myself.
I've realized that with a clear intention, you can do almost anything.
How many of us have done projects where at the end of the day, you broke even?
See, we can go out here and we can make the best darn education and story, but unless you show up, unless you watch it all and actually know how to apply the ideas, they're not going to make a difference in your filmmaking.
Real growth happens in the application.
20 for me.
World-changing filmmaker, it's based on action. Each week, a series of tutorials will be released, but then you'll also get a couple challenges that you need to complete. These push you to apply the ideas in making your own passion project.
We all know that you can have the best plans, but then you get in the field and the wheels fall off, shit goes wrong. I mean, the real world, it doesn't line up perfectly with this theory that you learned about online.
This is where World-Changing Filmmaker becomes remarkable. To support you along the way, you'll get access to an online community where you can get inspired, you can reach out for help, but it's also where each week you'll have a webinar with the Muse team, with us, to offer mentorship directly on the films you're making.
All of this to make sure that you are making the best film you've ever made. Because when you do, everything changes.
These mentors that we've been surrounded with that have poured into us these last 3 days, who puts a price on that?
Even though I don't have an obligation to change the world, I feel an obligation that I have to leave this place a better place than I found.
It's time for me to find my voice. Yeah. Time to make a change.
Can we get a round of applause for that?
If you show up, take action, and take yourself on, remarkable things are possible for you. But a warning, there is no magic pill to cure what ails you. You can't just swipe a card and have all your filmmaking conflicts just vanish. And the solution, it's not in better gear.
And it's also, unfortunately, not your clients' or stakeholders' fault. This one, you've got to own. And here's why.
The most valuable thing you, as a filmmaker, can bring to any table you ever find yourself at, it's your perspective.
Free climbing.
Your vision, how you see things and how you'll bring them to life. ChatGPT, Midjourney, all these fancy AI tools, none of them can replace your perspective.
It's only with a strong perspective that you are going to get the budgets you deserve without clients trying to renegotiate. But more than the money or the client stuff, the real win here,
Making films that you care about, films that matter, that you're proud of, and that people want to watch again and again.
But you'll have to take yourself on. World-changing filmmaker, I mean, it sounds big, and that's because it is. This is everything we've learned in doing $500,000 commercial campaigns to $1 million plus documentaries.
I think he probably heard as many times as I have. This is impossible. It can't be done.
Filmed in over 70 countries, working for some of the most legendary brands, celebrities, presidents, and some people that you probably never even heard of, but they sure were remarkable. All distilled down into this 90-day experience that will empower you to go out and make the best film you've ever made. Look, we've trained over 10,000 filmmakers. The United Nations flew us to Geneva to teach them story.
Here's our promise. We will show up. We'll meet you there.
we'll offer you mentorship each step of the way. We've got your back.
The question is, will you take yourself on and join us in changing the world with our stories?
Come on now, tell me that's not kick-ass. And the reason that we are so excited about that is because it avoided all four of those major pitfalls. That's work that we are damn proud of. And we are really hopeful that that will be the same for you. We're wanting to assist you in creating an inflection point. And to know me as a storyteller is to know how excited I get about reverse engineering. And if we were to reverse engineer the idea of the psychology of success, we're wanting to drive results, which means that in order to do that, we really want to support and help you create the best damn film that you've ever made. That is what we want to do for you, because if you create the best work that you've ever done, it will unquestionably become an inflection point in your career. And that's what this entire experience is meant to do, is to drive that level of success for you.
Now, you just had a call with somebody who had joined. So we did the, as you saw in the film, we did the live experience as a way of testing this entire curriculum and ideas and getting it out there in front of the world before we released it. You just had a call with Ita, who had come to the live experience.
And he was telling me that he was in the middle of pitching a project, and it was the first project he pitched since the experience. And he just added a digit. He added a 0 onto what he was charging. He felt like he was really comfortable in doing so because He felt like he understood how to communicate and how to deliver on the vision and everything that he was charging. And we want that for you too. We want you to add a 0, maybe 2.
When we say we want to help you create the best film that you've ever made, we mean the best film that you've ever made, right? And I think this is for people who are willing to take themselves on and want to set that as their goal. Now that's daunting, that can feel overwhelming, but that's what we're here for. Like we, and I mean us, but I also even mean the community, right? Like that is why you're joining a group of passionate storytellers who can come together, who have your back, and really helping to push you forward to ensure that it is the best thing you've ever made. Because if you go through this, it's a 90-day experience. If you do this with us, and if you create the best film that you've ever created, it means something to you. It's been intentionally crafted by hand, step by step, that you brought to life. Guess what changes? The belief. The belief you have in yourself. You know you can do it deep down. And then guess what happens? You can tell that to clients. You can walk into any room and you can pitch with confidence exactly what you can do for them. The potential changes massively. And now the actions start changing. What you ask for, what you do when you get the budget, what you do when you get on the field, barrel rolling onto a stage to get the shot, right? Because the actions are shifting, the belief shifting, the potential shifting, and then the results change. And it just keeps feeding itself. And this is what we mean by an inflection point.
The more that you do this, the more that belief gets reinforced, the more that, for clients, sometimes you gotta see it to believe it. And so you have to be able to demonstrate and show them what it looks like when you really show up, when you take yourself on, when you do something with intention and you are purposeful in that, because that's when they say, oh yeah, okay, I wanted to do a talking head video, but why don't we go with something more story-based? It changes everything.
Mm-hmm. So I heard something, I forget what project we were working on. They were talking about the business model of fitness, of gyms, right? And that generally they would 2 to 3 times X oversubscribe members, knowing that people just aren't going to show up. But they were happy to do that because it's more revenue, right? If 3 times the people will show up, and what's so important for you to get about us is that we do this because we believe in the power of story to actually make a difference. Like our first documentary was a 9-year-old girl using lemonade to fight child slavery, right? Like we really want to see you make a difference with your stories. And so the design of this is not at all about, hey, can you sign up and then never log in and never actually do anything? It's about how do we create a system, a structure, a network that actually helps you move through this in a way that maximizes your success. So let's look at the actual mechanics of this. Because first of all, this is a 90-day experience, right? So from when we start, there's 90 days through which you're going to go out and find and develop and make your best film ever, and then use that to help elevate your brand, right? So Caitlin will work with you on how you actually put that on your website, how you then pitch that to other people. This is not just a make a film and you're done. This is we're making a film and we're going around that whole beliefs potential cycle again and using it to help transform your business as you move forward. So it starts with the idea that this is a 90-day experience. Now, inside of that, there's this saying, and I wish there was a vegetarian version, but there's this saying, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time, right? The idea of how do you take on something massive? And the idea of creating the best film that you ever have, it is massive, but you do it by 1 small step at a time. Consistency is what wins, right? And so to help encourage that, what we do is we release tutorials every week. There's just a certain set that you need to go through every week. So it's not this big overwhelming thing. So you get a set of tutorials and you get 1 weekly action. Now, 1 weekly action that over the course of 90 days leads to all of this stuff that we're talking about. But that's a lot more manageable to just get a couple tutorials a week plus 1 weekly action. And on top of that, we built worksheets and templates that really reduce your time and increase your efficiency in being able to take the tutorials, the ideas, and apply them in your actions, right? So we're trying to make sure that you're not wasting time on having to figure out exactly how to format and put it together and submit it and share it. We want to minimize that so you're focused on the actual creative work of finding and telling the best story you can. Now, to really support you in that, you'll have a weekly webinar with us where you get to come together and you get to share what it is you're working on, what your, the results of your weekly action, and you can get help with roadblocks. But more than just one weekly webinar, we will also have a community platform that's available 24/7, which means whenever you're having a problem, you can log in and you can ask questions and you can get help and you can get support and get unstuck. So this is very much a community exercise where it would be my hope that through this, like hundreds of powerful stories are told, like that we could really come together and do something massive together.
And I think the community side of things I can't tell you the importance of it enough. I mean, there's so many filmmakers that I have talked to over the years that are single person, 2 people, smaller teams, and it can be really isolating. I mean, you're working every day and you're sort of sitting in this echo chamber and there's not that challenge pushing you, but then also you can't share your ideas because most of your friends are maybe an accountant or, they do other things. And so being able to have a community that you can come together with and challenge one another and share ideas and give feedback and build a network that you might be able to work with whenever you travel or regionally, to be able to have that. I think that's one of the most important things that comes out of this.
Let's break it down. What does that 90 days actually look like?
Well, we created modules, right? There are structure to story, and there is structure to this experience. And it all gets born originally out of the idea of story finding. We're going to assist you in creating the constraints, the creative constraints that you are going to embrace. They're going to bring focus and clarity to the work that you're doing. And that all begins with what we call story finding.
When
that idea. Yeah.
When we did the film with Lek, the elephant whisperer, she grew up with an elephant as a sister. And amazing story, put it online, goes viral, Upworthy picks it up, millions and millions of views. Number one question we get, how did you find that story? That's where this all starts, right? Like, we are going to help you with story finding because that's really going to determine the ceiling of what it is you can create. But it's not just go to make anything.
Absolutely, especially if it's going to be the best film that you've ever made. There's a lot of decision and a lot of weight that's going to need to take into that. And we're going to assist you in creating the best practices around finding a remarkable story, a story that connects with you and one that is worthy of being your best film ever. And that then will assist you in creating the creative development around it. Because once we've identified that story, the next question becomes, well, then how in the hell are we going to structure this thing in order to be successful in making sure that it becomes the best thing that we've ever made? And so there's an entire structure around how we develop story, and we're going to walk you through that as a part of this process.
And I think that's a big difference in our evolution as educators. From when we first started, Muse back in 2015, that, I love the materials that we released and the process and the structure and the intentionality, but without the actions, it would fall apart. As in, for a lot of people, they'd learn it and they try and use it and they'd run into problems and it wouldn't line up and they wouldn't know how to break through. And the magic of all of this is that you're doing it in real time where you learn and apply, right? So it's that idea of releasing the tutorials, but then having a weekly action so that if you're running into problems where it's not lining up, you actually get support to break through, but then the deepest learning happens in the application and novel creation, right? It's not in being able to repeat that desire matters most or conflict leads to growth. That is not where real change happens for you. It's about actually being able to find conflict inside of a character, know how to develop it in your story, and then create something that was so damn engaging, people couldn't look away. Now you've really got it. And when you've got it, you can apply it everywhere else. So, I mean, this stuff gets me excited.
So excited.
I got to bring it back in.
If you look at it too, it's not just going out and testing. We're not saying go pitch a client. It's in a safe space. It's being able to go to your community and say, okay, I've got my 3 creative milestones. Can I walk you through keywords? Can I get your feedback? Okay, how is this? How does this look like? How do I pitch a client? How do I get alignment on being able to have storyboards? It's that safe space that it's the application, but it's also being able to practice it in a place where you can go ahead and try out a couple different things.
We created this inside of 7 modules, right? 51 different lessons over 7 modules. You can see that there is a cycle to story in the same way that there is a cycle to the psychology of success. Everything is built upon not just doing it once, but being able to do this repeatedly, predictably, with success, with sustainability, with that kind of both emotional and financial health that you need in order to be a successful and ongoing creative.
Okay, so across 90 days, there are these 7 different modules. You can see here, we go story finding. We help you find the best story that you've ever told that is relevant to you. So we, work through that process to make sure that the story matters. We work with you through creative development to create keywords, to create character briefs, create storyboards. We work with you on interviewing techniques, because being able to actually do the interview powerfully is the first step in actually being able to bring that story to life. We will then work with you on the in-the-field production side, right, of mindsets and approaches of how we actually do this to make sure you're as prepared as possible. Then we get into the pitching and the financials. How do we actually take this film that we've created and this process that we've been going through to create it and use that to then pitch to future clients? But then how do we also understand the financials from a profitability standpoint to ensure that we're actually charging appropriately and creating the right kind of lifestyle for ourselves? And then the last module is about client and financial growth. Right. So how do we actually then build clients and actually grow our business from a sustainability standpoint? All of this culminates, this whole 90-day experience culminates in something. We've had a few different versions of this in different experiences. And it is always so powerful in a community showcase. So we will all come together and we'll have an online showcase where everybody who creates a film, it's like Muse Film Festival 2.0 or 5.0, where, you get to come up and you get to present your film. And when you take that stage and you present that film, I'll tell you, that imposter syndrome's gone. Like, you become a different person when you walk off. And so that is what we're looking to create. Now, I know we're coming up on our hour. So before I get off on another Apple box, preaching my love of story, let's talk about exactly how people can join and all of those kinds of details. What was really important for us in designing this is making sure that it was accessible. Because we have done things before, like Muse Film School that was $7,900, and it was incredibly powerful. Like, we would fly to Japan or Ireland with people. I just got an email from somebody the other day who actually just got nominated for a daytime Emmy, and spoke about the time we were in Ireland together and how he remembers the experience and what was said to him and how much it changed things for him. So, like, those experiences are powerful, but $7,900 is not, that accessible for everybody. But we look at the value of that mentorship, of that one-on-one interaction. We've done World Changing Filmmaker Live, which was like $31.97. We've done Profitable Filmmaking, which was $19.97. And so if you look at all of this, what was really important to us is that we want to reach as many filmmakers, creatives, storytellers as possible. And so in bringing you the World Changing Filmmaker experience, that is going to be just $9.97, which I think is just like silly low. And I hope you feel that way too, because it's everything that we've ever done. It's, profitable filmmaking, it's science of storytelling, and it's mentorship, and it's community all coming together with helping you create the best film you ever have. I think it's pretty special.
And I think when you say low, it's for the value. The value is, and it's not just those things. It's also, we all know as filmmakers in the last 5 years, it's been really hard. There's been a pandemic. Our industry is shifting and changing. AI is coming in hot. It's really challenging. And so we've learned a lot, and we've improvised and we've innovated and been trying to move to be able to make sure that all of that information, everything we've learned, has gone into this, and that we can actually share how we've been making big moves with you guys.
But the truth of the matter is that, we can make equivalencies that the investment in this is no more than a lens, and there's truth in that. But in order for you to be successful, in order for this to actually create an inflection point in your career, for this to manifest the most incredible film that you've ever made, you have to show up. You have to take yourself on. You have to be willing to do the work. Now, our promise to you is that we're there for you. We have your back. We've created a system that will set you up for success. If you are willing to take yourself on, we can confidently say that at the end of this thing, you will be, your belief in yourself will be at an all-time high, and you will have created the best work that you've ever created. And that we will launch you into where you want to go next in your career. But it's going to come with a commitment. And it comes with a commitment that you're willing to do the work and to take action.
We've built the entire curriculum, this entire 90-day experience around these three principles: showing up, taking action, and taking yourself on, which means every week you're released, a series of things that you need to show up to, a live webinar, tutorials, that kind of thing. You're released actions that you need to take. But what I find really special is you're also released a single way that week that you can take yourself on. And we are going to call out those who coast, who take it easy. And we will create a dividing line just so you know for yourself, what does it mean to take myself on? What does it mean in this challenge to just take it easy versus really going for it, right? And so we're going to support you in that, both in setting up the structure of how to know that you're really taking yourself on, and in the mentorship, the webinars, the community, to really be pushing you to go, hold on, but is this the best you can actually do? Are you really pushing and stretching and challenging, or was this the easy answer? That is where growth happens. Okay, Caitlin.
All right. Well, we really appreciate everybody showing up. And a part of committing and taking yourself on is being rewarded for that commitment and getting results. And so we appreciate that you have showed up. We said there would be some fun bonuses. So if you purchase today, you will get added bonuses. So there is a legal template whole bundle that we created. That's every legal document that I have struggled with over the past 4 years, working with many lawyers and spending a lot of money. There is also an essential business contracts, which has things like a creative estimate and contractor scopes of work if you want to hire freelancers. All of these things that, again, lots of money, lots of time, lots of nuance that we have developed over the last couple of years. There's profitable production where our VP of operations and I take you through financial clarity and being able to really understand how to build a successful business. And then our favorite story finding hero, where Grant Patrick and I threw a dart at a map. Actually, I threw it first time I missed, and to go out and to find a remarkable story. So all of that, if you purchase today, comes with it.
So much of this is about really seeing what can happen when we come together and show the world what we're made of. Right? Like how many stories, and it's like that triple bottom line. Like it doesn't just affect you and your family and the person you made the film for. It also then affects whatever that nonprofit or cause or whatever film you make, right? Who they are out there trying to do good work for. So I think that this is a really special opportunity. For the next 2 weeks, you have the opportunity to join. Caitlin talked about the bonuses that we are offering for anybody who is willing to join today, because we will always reward you for showing up and taking action. But then from a logistics standpoint, we start in 2 weeks, right? So this kicks off in 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks, we're inviting people to join, to register. And then in 2 weeks is when the 90-day experience kicks off. You'll get access to the online course. You get lifetime access to the online course, and you get access to the community platform, where then things start coming out every week, the way that you show up, the way that you take action, and how you can take yourself on. So we have the URL here that you can see. It's storyfirst.com, world-changing-filmmaker. I hope you will choose to be one with us. There's a lot more on the landing page itself. You can see testimonial videos of people who join the live event. You can hear their stories. We really go in depth so that you can make sure you understand what this is. And I will proudly say that we offer only human support, no bots. So if you email us and you've got a question, we will personally reply and make sure, because this is always about, is this right for you, right? And so like, if you're chatting with Evan or Brady, Caitlin, myself, Grant, like we will always be straight with you. We don't think this is the right fit. And so feel free to reach out if you do have any questions, because we want to make sure that this is the right time and the right thing for you. With that, Bo, do we have any questions that we should tackle right now?
Yes. What time zone is the today deadline?
So when we get into timelines and all of this kind of stuff, right now, you would have the next 12 hours to join and get the bonuses. So I don't know exactly, somebody who's got a calculator can convert that into time zones. But the bonuses are available for anybody that registers in the next 12 hours. And that is also for either the payment plan or the one-time payment. So that whatever works for you, all of that. But just taking that one step further, for those that do join, when you actually get into the showing up and the taking action, all of that, we give you a week for that. So we've scheduled all of the webinars at 1 Pacific. They're all recorded. They automatically show up in the community. So if you can't make it live, you can replay. You have 24/7 access to the community. So we made sure that this is absolutely globally accessible and that you have enough time to be able to do everything that you need to do, while also, having a full-time job or being a filmmaker or wherever else you find yourself. But we know that this is not the only thing you're doing. Yes, Bo.
Is the community platform limited to the 90 days or will it be open 90 days?
So at this stage, so the question is about the community platform, and at this stage, it is limited to 90 days. It is our hope that we have a better community solution, down the road that can stay available. But what we know is that a community needs leadership. You need to show up and you need to make sure that you're creating support and structure. Otherwise, it kind of just withers. And so right now, this is a 90-day community platform where we will be there. We'll be involved daily. You'll be able to interact with our whole team. There's a whole bunch of different channels, functions, all kinds of really amazing things that you can do. But that is limited to 90 days. But know that we are working on other community options that are accessible outside of that.
Is this only going to help people who work docu-style, or will it also help somebody in the narrative work?
So question about who is this for and who is this not for? The world-changing filmmaker experience is primarily for people who work with real people, right? And so that's generally going to be nonprofit, documentary, commercial. And even some commercial, like if you're scripting and you're working with actors, not that it won't help. I'm a big believer that there's so much knowledge in learning of story and the techniques that are going to help, but it's most designed for those that are working with real people. Because in story finding, we're going to help you find real stories and bring them to life and talk about the experience you're creating with them. And then how do you then pitch that to other clients or nonprofits or whoever that might be, right? So that's who it's most for. Now, if you're looking at this and you're a narrative creator or you're a hobbyist looking to get into this, are you going to get $1,000 value if you show up and you do this? Will it create that? Hands down, for sure. But it's designed first and foremost for people who are working with real people, documentary, commercial, nonprofit, in-house filmmakers, that sort of thing.
One question about the monthly.
Yeah.
Things, and I can talk about if you go to that flyer and stuff.
Yes, I'll go back to the monthly payments. And what is the question? What is it?
What's the monthly payment plan?
So the monthly payment plan is $397 a month for.
They're wanting to know what the one on the right is about.
Oh, that's not a monthly plan. That's a one-time plan. We have 2 typos in these slides that I'm going to apologize for. Somebody caught me on the arrows being backwards. You are right. Results lead to beliefs, not the other way around. Thank you for catching that. And error number 2 is that is not a monthly plan. That's a one-time plan. So the $10,000 option, that's private mentorship. So you do the experience with everybody else. So we're going to support you in making the best film, but now you're also getting one-on-one calls with us to actually get, more hands-on, and on top of direct access, you're also going to get to join us on set on an actual production, because that's when you really get to see what it's like and how we operate. And you'll also get a separate channel inside of the community where you just have access to us. So it's basically the next level of private mentorship where you get to work with us more directly as you go through this experience. And we are about coming up on time here, Bo. Why don't you come on back to number 1 for us? And do we have any other questions here as we close out? I think we should probably take some final thoughts here.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I want to make sure that we talk about and that we really express is, obviously, this is not a passive course. We are asking people to come in and take action and really show up. But I also want to make the promise that we are going to show up. That the reason why the community isn't open for eternity is because this is a massive commitment for us, and we feel the responsibility to show up and make sure that you get the kind of results that we are talking about and that we are challenging you. We are taking this on, and this is a big opportunity, but we're also there to support you, because at the end of the day, the reason why we do the things that we do and why we're here is because we want to support other filmmakers, and we want to change the world by supporting you. So please, if you're coming to join us, know that we're going to challenge you, but we're going to really support you.
I think the last thing I would share is that I truly believe that life is too short not to make it the greatest story you've ever told. And I would hope that we could be a part of helping you tell a better story to yourself and to others, and then in how you give back to the world. And what is so powerful for me, and what just gets me going, fired up, and why I love this so much, is because of that mentorship and that one-on-one interaction that we have inside of world-changing filmmaker experience. I can remember times 5, 6, 7 years ago, working with people inside the community where they maybe phone something in. Like they do it, they complete it, they do the thing, right? But, they'd be called on it. And I remember one person in particular, I messaged him and was like, look, this is okay, but I know that you've got more in you. I know there's another level. And he took the day off work, he redid it, and he changed everything for him. Not just like that, the entire experience. And that's what's special, is the accountability and actually being seen for what you're capable of, and having somebody and a team of people going that's good, but we believe in you and we think you can do better.
Look, honesty time. Straight up. There's never been a better time to be an aspiring storyteller. If you want to create a powerful story that makes a difference in a beautiful and engaging way, then right now, all the gatekeepers are done. The only thing standing in your way is you. And if this opportunity had existed 12 years ago when I began my pursuit of wanting to be a powerful storyteller, I would have given 25x this investment in order to have had access to this. And so if you really are seating at home and you are pining for wanting to be better at what it is that you do, you have every opportunity to do it right now. Honesty time. You know damn well you're the one who's been holding yourself back. Stop it. It stops right now. It's time to take action. Do something about it. Yeah? Yeah.
Thank you, my friends. We appreciate you joining us. We hope that you've had a great time with this launch. We could not be more excited to kick things off in a couple of weeks, as you can tell. We are very excited. And so we will see you all soon in a couple of weeks as we kick this thing off and we go tell some amazing stories together. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Guys.